beat Houston those 2 years without Kevin.
Yeah, we was beating them for sure. That team was never going to beat us. It just was not going to happen.
What about the Cavs then?
We would not have beat the Cavs coming back around without Kevin. And here's why. Teams have figured us out. And I personally don't think at that point Steph Curry had figured out I'm going to get a bucket whenever I want to. I don't think he was capable of that yet. I think he was still growing into that.
The Draymond podcast tour continues.
Really?
Wildly entertaining.
Really,
some might even say humorous. Maybe even off the mark by a hair or two. Nick, your reaction to Dre's comments.
God. Oh, God. Listen, man. Content creation, baby. You got to have something to say. And, you know, Skip's on vacation. Stephen A's on vacation. So those guys are off the board. I've apologized for the Andrew Wiggins take. And it's like, oh, boy, media criticism. There's nothing new here. Why don't I just take a minor shot at Steph Curry? So here's the deal. Wild, you love when I tell, I don't know if you love or not, but you say you love when I tell tales from my local radio career. Right after I got my job in Houston, I kept getting invited on local Kansas City podcasts to talk about my exit and talk about my time there. And after I did about the third one, my new boss in Houston called me into his office. He's like, buddy, time to turn the page, and you're not helping yourself here. And it's because I just kept rehashing old things, and all of a sudden it's like there's new people to take shots at, and it's like I don't want to repeat myself, and I'm just hurting myself. And Draymond is now in a similar boat, where it's like, okay, I have said that I take my media, he said he takes his media and podcast career as seriously as he takes his basketball career. Those are his words, not mine. Because while I am old media, I don't misquote people. And Brew, if you want to take this media thing seriously, got to create some news. Got to break some news. Right. Got to get some new ground going. And that's what he's doing.
Right.
Much to the chagrin, I would imagine, of one Steph Curry. As someone pointed out on Twitter, Steph literally said, what are they going to say about me now? And Draymond's like, well, I've got something. You couldn't create your own shot a few years ago, buddy. You were a good little player, unanimous MVP, NBA champion, but you needed a real superstar to come in that we could feed the ball to because guys had figured you out. Now, Brew, no one had figured out the Warriors' offense by figuring out don't guard the guy who shoots threes with a backpack on. Of course, it's not had anything to do with the fact that they're playing 4-on-5 at times. It was because Steph Curry wasn't in the weight room long enough. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm curious how this landed at Steph's doorstep. Sure, not great. I'm sure he's used to, Draymond talking a lot, but I don't think it landed great with the newly minted Finals MVP Stephen Curry.
Well, look, I'm sure Steph's mature enough to just let it, bounce off his back. I don't think he'll worry about it. But the fact is, Nick, Draymond's not making sense. Okay, you said, first of all, you said Steph couldn't create his own shot, to your point. Well, okay, he averaged 30. All right, he was a unanimous MVP that season. It seemed like he was fine, okay? And then as Dre keeps going on, I don't think we showed it in the clip, he admitted, and he said it before, the Cavaliers in those finals were double-teaming Steph, even when KD was there. Now, why would you need to double-team him if he can't create his own shot? You're not doubling him as he's running around the court, running off screens. You're doubling him when he has the ball. Why? Because he can create his own shot. He had handle back, in 2016 as well. So stop it, Dre. You're not making sense. Then he says teams have figured them out. Let's see. They were 73-9. Best regular season record ever. They beat an Oklahoma City team that was great with Durant and Westbrook. They were up 3-1 on the Cavs. And, Nick, if you remember, they had won all three of those games by double figures by an average overall of 20 points a game. They were destroying the Cavs. And then Draymond gets suspended, and the rest is history. So I don't know if he was just trying to avoid implicating himself but that was the reality. So I don't believe, and then we don't, even if he thinks teams have figured him out, well, the next year you have Kevin Durant. So you don't know if they figured you out because you were an entirely different team. And so, look at this graphic. When Durant didn't play, when he joined the Warriors, they still won 81% of their games when Steph played. They won 61% when KD played without Steph. So I don't see any evidence that they figured him out. Nick, what I see is they were down 3-1 to a great OKC team that had beaten Kawhi and LaMarcus Aldridge at the height of their powers in San Antonio. And then they lost to a great Cavs team that had LeBron James, Kyrie Irving at the height of their powers, not to mention Kevin Love. So it would have been tough, is what he means. It wouldn't have been like teams that figured us out. No, you weren't head and shoulders above everybody like you were once you got Durant.
Okay, well, listen, I actually don't, Wilds, disagree with some of his analysis because I don't think it was a coincidence that the Warriors were 73-9 and then coasting through the playoffs and then all of a sudden lost 3 out of 4 to OKC after not losing 3 out of 4 all year, and a couple weeks later lost 3 straight to the Cavs after not losing 3 straight in multiple years. I do think there was an element of wearing Steph down and figuring some things out. I don't think Wilds, Draymond's analysis is totally wrong. I think it's just unnecessary for a guy who is still on the Warriors, who Kevin Durant is not his teammate and Steph Curry is. It's like Jenna said it in the pre-show meeting, like the advice I got when I was a kid arguing with somebody. You can either be right or you can be happy. You don't always get to be both. And Draymond might be right about this. And I do respect his basketball IQ.
No,
and he did play in the games. So I'll defer to him in that regard. But I just don't know that it was a necessary comment, Wilds.
No, it probably wasn't. And I understand that there's an appetite to go over this championship or this little championship run with Kevin Durant, Broussard. And I know this is a tough take to have, but I've been overserved on the Warriors championship. I'm just done. I feel like the waiter comes over and is like, can I interest you in more talk about Kevin Durant on the Warriors? I'm like, I'm good. I'll take a check. I would rather talk about the Warriors and KD. This is my point. The Warriors and KD's championship run has 10x the conversation around it as the Bucks championship. It has 50x the conversation around it than the Raptors championship. And that includes all Drake. Drake doesn't even talk about the Raptors championship. Never mind the bubble championship. The idea that we have to constantly go over an autopsy the Warriors championship. I'm done with it. And I know it doesn't make good fodder during a segment about said championship, but I'm cooked, right, dude. I'm out on it. I'm sorry. I did not watch it.
It doesn't make good fodder.
Kevin Durant.
What you just said doesn't make good fodder. It's interesting. That's why we're talking about it, Wilds. And I'm gonna say this: I think Draymond's wrong. I think the Warriors, like I said, they were blasting that Cavaliers team in the first 4 games before Draymond's suspension. I think if they come back in 17, they beat the Cavs without Kevin Durant. This is not to disparage him. He was great. He was awesome. Fine. He made them better. But I think they would have beat the Cavs. I think it would have been like San Antonio in 2014, upset the way they let it get away from them a year ago, and would have had tunnel vision focused on beating the Cavs, and I think they would have. Then in 2018, remember, Kyrie Irving left. That wasn't the same Cavs team. So I think they beat. Now, I think if Kyrie stays, I think they split the next 2 years. I think it's 1-1. Cavs get 1, Warriors get 1. And if with Kyrie leaving in 2018, I think the Warriors beat them that year as well. No question. Kevin Love was your second guy, it would have been the Warriors.
Jeff Green. Big Jeff Green playoff run.
Earmuffs, Wilds. We're going to do this segment one more time. Wrap your head around that. I got a question.
Get a coffee.
Yeah, baby. Good fodder. Fodder. Will Russ and the Lakers find a way to make it work? Looks like Russ is coming back. We discuss next. First things first. Fodder.